Right, and as Melissa just alluded to, some of the showers that we got were a welcome sight for those who are plagued by allergies. Yeah. The rain expected to drive the pollen count way down, but only for a little while.
That's right. As 11 Alive's Joe Ripley reports, Atlanta is coming off a record high pollen count, with pollen season only just beginning.
Piles of pollen making for one big green pest.
Hi there, welcome.
Dr. Mary Georgie at Atlanta Allergy and Asthma Center knows the symptoms that can ruin any spring day.
It could be nasal congestion, a runny nose, itchy, watery eyes, sneezing, postnasal drip, sinus pain and pressure, and in terms of asthmatic, wheezing, shortness of breath, chest pressure, and cough.
The center measures the pollen count every day, and on Saturday recorded an all-time high in Atlanta of 14,801 pollen grains per cubic meter of air.
There are variables that contributed to this, one being the relatively high temperatures, relatively low humidity, a light breeze, and we didn't have rain for a while.
Georgie recommends staying indoors as much as possible, and if you're outside, dusting or wiping off yourself and your pets before going back inside.
Take the antihistamines or a nasal spray or an eye drop before going outdoors. And what I would recommend is using medications consistently before the symptoms start, regularly on a daily basis during the pollen season.
Doctors say the relief from all this pollen is only as temporary as these passing showers, with the peak of pollen season coming as late as mid-April.
It does decrease significantly, but not to the level where it's not going to cause people to have symptoms. They will continue to have symptoms, but not as significant as they had when we saw those record high on Saturday.
For more long-term relief from those piles of pollen, Dr. Georgie says we'll have to wait a while, most likely a couple more months.
So it's still our pollen season. We still have grass to pollinate, and then we still have trees to still pollinate, and then we have the grass season coming up at the end of April and May. So we're not done yet by any stretch of the imagination.
In Marietta, Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.